Hello and welcome to this video brought to you by Smart Edu Hub Mumbai. In today's video, I shall teach you how to solve questions based on bounds. All these questions have been taken from the IGCSE past papers. So let's begin. Question number 7. To raise money for charity, Jalaj walks 22 kilometers correct to the nearest kilometer every day for 5 days, meaning how many kilometers does he walk in one day? He walks 22 kilometers. And like this, he has walked for how many days in all? 5 days. And they are telling you it is to the nearest kilometer. Now, whenever these kind of words are present, you should understand that it's got to be concerned with some lower bound or upper bound. Okay. So now, whenever there is a word like nearest centimeter, nearest kilometer, nearest gram, whatever. So whatever is it, you're going to divide it by 2. So nearest kilometer means 1 kilometer. So 1 kilometer. And like I told you, whatever it is, you just divide by 2. So that makes it half a kilometer, that is 0.5 kilometers, right? So that means you are going to have a lower bound and upper bound. Okay. So the lower bound is going to be 22 minus 0.5 and the upper bound is going to be 22 plus 0.5. So you have 22 minus 0.5, which gives you 21.5, which is the lower bound, and you have 22 plus 0.5, which is your upper bound. So you have your lower bound and upper bound, and they've exactly asked us to write down the lower bounds, upper bound. So my lower bound is 21.5 and my upper bound is 22.5. Okay. Now he raises $1.60 for every kilometer that he walks. So 1 kilometer, how much amount has he raised? He's raised $1.60. And how many kilometers has he walked? 22 in one day. So ideally he's walked in one day 22 kilometers. So in 5 days he has walked 5 into 22 kilometers, right? Okay, this is what is important. So in totally he walked how many kilometers? 5 into 22. Now if 1 kilometer is $1.60, so 5 into 22 kilometers will help him to raise X dollars, right? So whenever you have something like this, it's simple. You have to cross multiply. So what you're going to do is simply $5 into 22 into $1.60, and if you plug it on the calc, you will get equals $172. So you have $172 as your answer. Okay, so now with this, let's move ahead to another question which is involving bounds. Okay, so bound based question, a new one, come on. This question has been taken from May June 2010 paper 2-2, and this is question number 9. A fence is made from 32 identical pieces of wood, each of length 2 meters. Correct to the nearest centimeter. Calculate the lower bound for the total length of the wood used to make this fence. Write down your full calculator display. Okay. Now again going to the first statement, a fence is made from 32 identical pieces of wood. So there are total how many pieces of wood? 32. Each of length 2. So there are 32 pieces and length of each piece is how much? So length of one piece equals 2 meters, and they're telling you it's to the nearest centimeter. Nearest centimeter means 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter divided by 2 is 0.5 centimeters, but the length of the wood is in terms of meters, so you convert this into meters by dividing it by 100, and then you get 0.005 meters, right? Now what you're going to do is to find the lower bound, you're going to subtract 0.005 from 2 meters. So the lower bound of one piece equals 2 minus 0.005 meters, which is equal to 1.995 meters, right? Now they have asked us to calculate the lower bound for the total length of the wood, so we don't have to find the upper bound, so we can just leave that upper bound thing. And now one piece of wood has a lower bound of 1.995, so there are 32 pieces of wood. So you may say 32 into 1.995 is ideally the lower bound of the total length of the wood. So how much is that equal to? It's 32 into 1.995, that gives me 63.84. So 63.84, and that's my entire calculator display. So 63.84. Okay, now let's move ahead to another question based on bounds. Now this question here has been taken from June 2011, paper 2-1, and that's question number 11. A rectangular photograph measures 23.3 centimeters by 19.7 centimeters. So let me just make a small sketch out of it. Okay, so the length is 23.3 centimeters and the breadth is 19.7 centimeters. Each to correct one decimal place, meaning 1 dp. So 1 dp, half of 1 dp is how much? So basically 1 dp itself is 0.1, so 0.1 divided by 2 is 0.05. So you're going to ideally add and subtract 0.05 to get your lower bound and upper bound. Okay, so now find the perimeter. Now you know perimeter is what? Perimeter is length plus breadth plus breadth. So perimeter, and we want to find the lower bound. So perimeter is 2 into lower bound of length plus 2 into lower bound of breadth, which is equal to 2 into lower bound of length is what? So length LB is equal to 23.3 minus 0.05. Let me calculate. So 23.3 minus 0.05, and that gives me 23.25. So 23.25. So lower bound of length is into 23.25. Now to that you're going to add 2 into lower bound of breadth. So breadth lower bound equals 19.7 minus 0.05, and let me see what's the answer. So 19.7 minus 0.05, that gives me 19.65. So I have 19.65 as my lower bound of breadth. So I write here 19.65. Now how much is that equal to? So let me plug in all the values in the calculator. So I get my answer as 85.8. Okay, so next is the area. Now area is what? Again, they've told you lower bound for. So you can just write down area lower bound is equal to length lower bound into breadth lower bound. Now length lower bound is how much? It's 23.25. We just found out. And breadth lower bound is 19.65. So let me again multiply these two. 23.25 into 19.65, and that's 456. It's 456.8625. Okay, so now let's solve another question. Now this question has been taken from May June 2011, paper 22, and paper code is 0580. Question number 9. Ashraf takes 1500 steps to walk d meters. Okay, so the distance is in meters and the steps are 1500. Each step is 90 centimeters, correct, to nearest 10 centimeter. Okay, so the total distance is given in meters and each step is given in centimeters. So if I have to find out the lower bound of each step in centimeters, it would have been how much? 90 minus what? I told you nearest, whatever numbers given nearest, that you divide by 2, and whatever is the answer that you add and subtract. So nearest is 10, so 10 divided by 2 is 5. So for the lower bound I'm going to subtract 5 from 90, which is 85 centimeters, and 85 centimeters is how many meters? It's 0.85 meters. So I'll divide this by 100 to get 0.85 meters. Okay, so lower bound of each step is 0.85 meters and upper bound of each step. Okay, so upper bound of each step is how much? In centimeters is equal to how much? 90 plus 5, which is equal to 95 centimeters. Again you divide that by 100 and you get 0.95 meters. Now they are asking us to find the lower bound and upper bound of the total distance. So if one step has a lower bound of 0.85 meters, then the lower bound of 1500 steps will be how much? It will be 1500 into 0.85, and that is 1275. And the upper bound of 1500 steps is equal to 1500 into, how much is that now? Into 0.95, and that is 1425. So the lower bound of 1500 steps is 1275 and the upper bound of 1500 steps is 1425. This question has been taken from May June 2011, paper 2-3, and that's question number 4. Helen measures a rectangular sheet of paper 197 mm by 210 mm. So let me just draw this first. So this is 210 mm and the width is 197 mm. So they are telling you the measurements are to the nearest millimeter. So nearest millimeter means 1 millimeter divided by 2, which is 0.5 millimeters. So to find the lower bound of length, what do? You subtract 0.5 millimeters from 190. sorry, from 210. So 210 minus 0.5, sorry, is the upper bound, so I need not subtract, I have to add. Okay, so that makes it 210.5 mm, and lower bound of width is equal to 197. Sorry, why am I writing lower bound when they've asked upper bound? Upper bound of width is equal to 197 plus 0.5, which is 197.5 mm. So now you have to calculate the upper bound of perimeter. Therefore, upper bound of perimeter is equal to 2 into 210.5 plus 2 into 197.5, and that is equal to 816 millimeters.